Hello, and welcome to the Speak Write video series. In this video, we will discuss where you can find the PACT principles in scientific writing. Once you start to see these principles in action, it will be easy to start intentionally including them in your own writing. We'll begin with purpose. While the overall purpose of scientific writing is to inform, a secondary purpose is to convince the audience of the validity of our conclusions. Successful writing will do both. The first place to look for the purpose is in the title. A good title should boldly describe what we discovered during our work, and that makes our work much more interesting to potential readers. The next place we'll typically emphasize the purpose of our work is in the first few paragraphs of writing. We want to help our audience understand what we are trying to achieve by clearly stating our reasons for performing an experiment or doing an analysis. For example, the purpose of this analysis was to determine if the material seized at a crime scene was cocaine. Speaking of our audience, we'll need to change how we write based on who our audience is. If they already know a lot about the subject, we should use precise words and technical terminology. For example, we'd use the scientific name Musca domestica instead of the word housefly when writing for biologists. Or we might refer to isopropanol instead of rubbing alcohol when writing for chemists. Technical language is used because this audience already knows what these words specifically mean. Once we have a grasp on why we are writing something and who we are writing it for, we can put the pieces together. Although there are many different types of scientific writing, from lab reports to journal articles to textbooks, they are typically arranged using the same structure: introduction, methods, results, discussion, and conclusion. In the introduction of a paper or work, we describe the problem we are investigating and provide the background information our audience needs to understand why this problem is important. Our purpose. In providing this background, the convention of scientific writing is to clearly cite the previous work that led to ours. This also helps demonstrate to our audience that we know what we're talking about. Although the format of a citation can vary substantially from document to document, the existence of a citation itself is imperative. Once we've introduced our problem, the next step is to describe the work that we did. The level of detail we need to include depends on our audience. For an audience that is unfamiliar or might be skeptical that we did our work correctly, the methods might be long, detailed, step-by-step description of everything we did. For an audience already familiar with the general experimental techniques of a field, it might be a shorter description of the method or a simple citation of a known protocol. After we've explained to our audience what we've done, the next step is to report what we've discovered. This all-important results section contains a narrative summary of how the data was generated, what we found, and what was concluded, using words to relate what we found. The results section may also have figures, charts, or tables that show the data directly. This helps our audience see trends and relationships or information that isn't always easily communicated with just words. Opinion, interpretation, and speculation belong in the final part of the report, usually called the discussion section. This part of the document should show our audience how our work fulfilled the purpose that we explained in the introduction. This includes talking about why our work produced the results they did, even if they are due to our own errors as experimenters. The ending part of a scientific paper or report is the conclusion. This is usually a short paragraph or two that sums up the work we did and reinforces why it is important. Sometimes the results and discussion and conclusion are distinct parts of a document. Other times, one or more of these sections might be combined. The specific convention of which parts might be combined, or if they all stand apart, can vary depending on the type of document we are writing or how and where it will be shared or published. New scientific writers often encounter some common trouble spots. The most important is failing to provide adequate citations. As a rule of thumb, you should be citing a resource at least once a paragraph, if not more. Another trouble spot is underreporting or underdescribing your results. We are often taught not to put any opinions in the results section, but it is entirely appropriate to describe relationships between data. In this example, it would be helpful to our audience to have the sentence, "Plant growth increased with increased nutrients," in the results section. We can then examine why that increase happened in the discussion section and explain why the increase is important in the conclusion. A third common trouble spot is using language correctly. A knowledgeable audience might feel that we as authors don't know very much or we're ill-informed if we didn't use correct technical terminology and jargon. However, if we use technical terms with an audience that is more general, it might make us sound pretentious and difficult to understand, and unsuccessful as communicators. We hope that this video will help you grow as both a scientific writer and reader.